Hello everyone, this is an update on the bow that I was working on that you saw in the last tips video, where I'd replaced the backing of a bow where the backing had actually failed, so we put a new piece of bamboo on here. I've done all the finishing work on it now. You just about make out the new piece, which slits slightly down the centre of the original. I don't know whether you can see that there on the video. So I've completed that. The next stage now is to put on the nocks, which I saved from the original bow. So I took those off, just used some heat, some hot water on the end, which does soften two-part epoxy. If you've never tried that before, it does work. You need to protect the end of the bow. We usually use a lot of tape and plastic sheeting to try and shield the bow from the heat of the hot water, which will soften the glue enough to be able to remove them. This is the ends here, so I'm going to have to try and get these to fit on. Now obviously where I've put the new piece on, it does stretch right to the end of the bow there. You can see the original piece and the new piece, so I'm going to have to do quite a bit of fiddling to get those to go on, but I need to be careful how much fiddling I do so I don't artificially shorten the length of the bow. You can see where the bow originally came to, where we usually put a little bit of sort of gold paint around the edge there, just as a piece of detailing, so you can see where that knock would have been. So I'll cut and come back, and hopefully you'll see that I've managed to get those back on. Okay, these nocks that we saved from the original bow that we've rebacked, I have managed to put back on. It's always worth doing. Saves materials, saves the planet, man. One of the things you'll need to watch for is the cone shape of wood that's from the original bow that would have been inside the knock here. Obviously when you reback, you're changing that shape, so be careful on removing the backing when you're up near the cone section. Obviously applying the knock to that cone as you go. I've done it in other videos showing you how to fit nocks, so just taking it carefully really. It means you can use the same nocks, which obviously gives the overall look of the bow, keeps it original, particularly if you're returning it to a customer. As you can see, they've gone on quite well there. This is the top knock, and the bottom knock is much the same. Okay, so the next stage now with this bow is obviously to re-tiller it, because we've put a new backing on, there may be some considerable work in getting it back to the same shape that it originally was, or you never know, I may be lucky and it may just brace up and be exactly the same as it was before. It does happen and can happen with rebacking. We'll see what happens. Okay, this is the bow up on the tiller, and as you can probably see, no, it isn't right straight from the beginning, which is unfortunate, but it just means the life of the bowyer continues, and we're going to have to do some tillering. So obviously the bottom limb has got a reasonably good bend in it, but the top limb is very, very straight, and it's going to need some work on it. I'm not going to do too much pulling on it at the moment, because I want to do some of that work and get it bending before we get an artificial bend in that bottom limb. If we do too much pulling, too much drawing of the bow, whilst there's a discrepancy, we're going to end up permanently bending that bottom limb. So I'm going to take that off the tiller, do some work on the top limb, and report back in a bit. This is where we stand with the tillering at the moment. As you can see, the top limb is now starting to bend a bit more. I've evened out the bottom limb, which was bending primarily just here, so I've evened out the rest of that there. I've taken a bit more out of the handle section as well, which was very stiff, which it still is quite stiff, and I've got a piece of wood in just here which helps the bow balance on the tiller there, and it helps keep this string nice and straight, so it aids me in being able to see the difference between the two limbs, if you're wondering what that is. I'll give this a quick pull here. It's not easy to do this with one hand, but you can see that limb, that top limb now is starting to bend, and the bottom limb isn't quite as acute as it was at that bend that it had just below the handle. There's still a bit more to come out there before I'm really happy with it, but yeah, it is starting to bend now. We'll see how we do. I'm fairly happy with the tiller now. You're never going to get it perfectly right when you reback an entire bow. It can be very difficult to return it to exactly how it was. I have got this top limb bending a lot better now, and this bottom limb is far more even than it was before. Now, one of the problems with rebacking or repairing any bow is whether it's economically viable or not. If you want the honest answer for this particular bow, and for me being in the position of someone who actually sells bows for a living, no, it's not really worthwhile doing so. And it's if customers come to us with bows for repair, quite often it would cost more to repair it than to replace the bow, to make a new one. It depends on the type of repair. This sort of repair does mean an awful lot of work, a lot of after work, as I've had to do with the tillering, and of course I'm going to have to completely replace the handle, which is quite a lot of money's worth on its own. So really it's one of those projects that you could perhaps do on one of your favourite bows that you don't want to waste, a bow that you liked using, though you will necessarily end up with that same bow. This bow was marked up at 45 at 28. Now drawing it to 28, it's about £40. So we've lost £5 in the process, but we have ended up with a bow rather than firewood. I say it is a risk, and it does really depend on what you want to get out of a bow. It might be just something that you fancy having a go at, just trying to do a repair. It's good practice. But there we go, rebacking a bow. Give it a go. Let me know how you get on. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and give us a thumbs up. And keep giving us those ideas on what you want to see next. Thanks for watching this quick tips video on the subject of rebacking bows. If you missed part 1, it's on the screen now. Thanks for subscribing, and give us a like and a thumbs up and all those other things, and let us know what you'd like to see next.